Gary started doing photography for his own rental properties a few years back. So he started doing his own photography. After a while, friends, family, and realtors started asking if he would take their property photos as well. Fast forward to now, he feels blessed to have a flourishing photography business and lucky to have a dream job as a content creator. Besides photography, Gary enjoys rock climbing, MMA, and sim racing. He is busy. When asked about what he looks for in a neighborhood, he admits coffee is my weakness. So the first thing I definitely look for would be a cafe. You and me both, friend. In fact, you guys have probably noticed me sipping a cup pretty much this entire morning. So much appreciated on that answer. We are going to welcome our friend Gary to the stage right now. Thank you so much. Oh, you are signed in from 2 places. I'm hoping that I asked the right one to broadcast. I'm just going to give both. Oh, no, that's a different Gary.
Am I live?
That must be a different Gary. Okay. All right. You are alive. Look at this setup that Gary has, you guys.
Hey, guys.
Amazing setup that he's got going on. I absolutely love it. I dig it. I love that white screen in the background and the lighting as well. So the best. Oh, you are called the best and most creative videographer. Gary, the wolf of photography.
I don't know about that, Perry.
He's fast with Perry's fast with those nicknames. So I'm telling you right now, you got to have him brand you. Okay. So welcome. How are you today?
I'm doing good. Thanks for asking. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you. Sound great. So
Perfect.
not a problem. All right, let's jump right in.
I'm a little nervous. This is my first stream.
With your setup?
Hope you can carry me a little bit.
You're going to do great. What are you nervous about? You sound fantastic.
No, this is why I like being behind the camera, because I'm not used to it.
Okay. So we're digging in a little bit to get to know the guy behind the lens, you guys. Let's all give him a round of applause in the chat. Let's drop some applause icons and say, yay, Gary, you're going to do amazing. I mean, this is going to be great. Awesome. Thank you guys for doing that for me. So let's jump in, Gary. How important are photos and videos when it comes to selling a home in this market?
Yeah, it's pretty important because I think everyone's used to seeing Instagram and, YouTube, and we're all conditioned to watch videos and, watching commercials, high-end advertisements. So when on Instagram, people post a lot of photos, but they're not usually professional photos. So if you want to present your property, $1 million property, you want to show the property at its best. And also, motion pictures, is going to help as well.
Absolutely. Here. That's exactly what people need. They should have that. So if there are great photos already of the property, is there a need to have a video as well?
Yeah, video or motion picture helps the viewer get a more perspective of the space. So I do think showing video is very important. Also, are you familiar with the rule of 3?
For the sake of this, I'm going to say no, and you can tell everybody what the rule of 3 is.
Maybe you do know, since you're a streamer, right? So, saying in film, if you show people or tell them something 3 times, they're going to be more likely to remember your place or remember something in general. So either show them the photos, having a description, having a virtual tour, and also adding a video is going to have people make your place more memorable.
Absolutely. And I love the rule of 3, but I did want you to clarify that for everybody because they need to understand that, especially when they're doing this stuff. So thank you for telling us that. Gary, why should I spend money on using a professional photographer, right? I have my phone. I can take my own pictures. Why should I spend money on professional photography?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, the setup you see right now is because I wouldn't typically do a setup like this because I literally spilled coffee on my MacBook Pro and it completely ruined it. And it was scrambled to fix this setup because, I actually have to use my camera and my custom-made computer for this. And that being said, equipment is the main factor, right? If, you see, iPhone used for Instagram, people are used to seeing those kind of photos. And if you can get the production level a little higher, you're going to be able to pull more viewers that way.
Absolutely. No, I highly recommend. So, are you using like a DSLR right now, or what are you using for your camera?
Yeah, I'm using a mirrorless camera. So, sorry. got a little lost right there, but yeah. So professional camera is very important. The equipment is very important because if you're seeing the same kind of photos like iPhone, and what you want to do is differentiate yourself between using a professional photographer is going to differentiate your photos from an average looking photo.
Absolutely. So what are your goals as the photographer when taking photos for a listing?
Oh my God, these questions are so tough. But
is that hard? What are the goals?
So what am I looking for when I'm doing a shoot? So getting good composition, lighting are the main things I look for when I'm going to take a shoot.
Perfect. I think that's what people want to see out of them too when they have them listed. So, and so what are some angles or shots that you take because you feel will help generate more interest for the seller's home?
Yeah. So what we call angles, photographers, we call angle is actually called composition. So having a good composition involves many factors, and this is the bread and butter, I guess, of the talk right here, because a lot of people are here interested in, realtors are interested in getting the best shots as possible. And I'll give a couple tips here and there, but the main tip is for a good composition is leading lines. And I noticed a lot of realtors, me included when I first started, leading lines is very important, because if you're shooting something and if your lines are tilted, it doesn't give a good perspective of the place. So if you're a realtor going to shoot your place, what I recommend is making sure all the lines in your photo are as straight as possible. So make sure don't tilt it down or tilt it up. You could do that, but you need Lightroom to fix that photo, and you can use something called geometry, which will line up the angles of the property, and that way you're going to be able to show the property is at its best. So that's one thing. Another one would be the rule of thirds. Just like the rule of three, you want the rule of thirds. So show when you're showing a place or certain angles with the leading lines, make sure to have at least 2/3 of something that fills the space. That's another factor that I would consider when getting a good composition. There's some other, but I'm a little nervous right now.
Okay. We don't have to go to professional too.
Yeah.
No, that's okay. People just want to know the best angles and stuff. They want to make sure that you're getting the best angles of their home so that people can see, because there are some that people miss. So I appreciate your answer. You're doing
leading lines, rule of thirds are the main things that I do at every shoot, and which can provide you with great angles and show the place at the best and attract more viewers to your photos.
Fantastic. How would you? How should sellers prepare their home for the photos that you're going to take?
Yeah, so we had a lot of great speakers earlier, and what they're all saying is, making sure the place is nice and tidy, and the less stuff there that's kind of sticking out like sore thumb will be better, easy for me, and less work for me to edit out.
Love it. I think that is very important. So clean up your home before you want people to take fake pictures. I mean, it makes perfect sense. I'm sure it doesn't always happen, but it does make sense. Do you have a strategy to overcome some not so perfect shooting environments, such as no natural light, cloudy or rainy outside, cars and garbage cans in front of the house, and the neighbor's messy backyard, which we were just talking about?
Yeah. So natural lighting is very tough for me. That's the number one thing I fight with, especially at exterior, depending on the time of day. If it's later in the day and you get these deep shadows, that's something I can't really fix in post. But so finding out, having the right time, scheduling me at the right time is very important. If it's rainy out, sometimes actually is a pretty cool effect, because it actually shows some glare on the flooring and gives it the photo a little bit more of an epic feel. And also if it's a little bit cloudy out, a little overcast, that's okay. But because I can do something called a sky swap and make the property pop out a little more. And what separates me from other photographers is I use something called flash photography. instead of something called HDR, which a majority of my competitors use. And that way, using flash, I don't really have to fight with the light as much, and actually give, show your property is closest to people how they see from with their eyes, because people's eyes have a really high dynamic range, or HDR is what we call it. And if you shoot it straight out of camera, it doesn't show the dynamic range as you would see in your eyes.
That makes perfect sense. Just so you know,
right here.
I love it. Everybody over here is agreeing with you, and they are saying that you are worth every penny that they spend for stuff. So fantastic. Thank you. No reason to be nervous. You did a great job. I really appreciate all the information you just gave us. Does anybody have a question for Gary before we let him exit the virtual stage so he can take a deep breath and not worry anymore? Great job. Seriously. Photography and videos are great. So, and everybody, in my opinion, people should definitely opt for more professional. Kelvin says, thanks for making all of our properties look amazing. So Perry says, you're great on and off camera, so don't worry. No worries.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Gary. You are free to go ahead and turn off your microphone and camera and take a nice deep breath. Thank you again for that presentation. Good job.
Thank you.